Welcome back, dear viewers. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi receives on Thursday Jordan's King Abdullah II. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Bassem Radi said the two leaders are expected to discuss bilateral relations and a number of regional issues of mutual concern, as well as challenges that face the Arab countries.
And President Fattah el-Sisi received on Wednesday a phone call from Milwaukee President Barham Saleh. During the phone call, the two leaders discussed the regional developments in light of the latest developments in Syria and the Turkish aggression on Syrian territories, which threatens international peace and security and affects Syria's unity and its peace process, according to the UN Security Council resolutions. During the phone call, the two leaders agreed to continue bilateral consultations to face the Turkish move and preserve Syria's unity.
Earlier, Egypt condemned in the strongest terms the Turkish aggression on the Syrian territories on Wednesday. In a statement, the Foreign Ministry described the Turkish aggression as an unacceptable assault against the sovereignty of a brotherly Arab country and is considered a violation of international law. The statement stressed that the world community, represented by the UN Security Council, should shoulder its responsibility to face this serious development which threatens international peace and security. Egypt also called on stopping any attempt to occupy Syrian territories and warned of the repercussions of Turkish aggression on Syrian unity, its regional security, the political process, according to Security Council Resolution number 2254.
The Arab League said it was convening an emergency meeting on Saturday to discuss the Turkish offensive against Kurdish forces in Syria. Following a request by Egypt, the League's Assistant Secretary General Hossein Zaki said the region's foreign ministers would gather in Cairo on October 12th to discuss Turkish aggression on Syrian territory. Zaki deemed the offensive an unacceptable assault on the sovereignty of an Arab member state, exploiting its situation and violating international law.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan warned the EU on Thursday that Ankara would allow millions of refugees to head to Europe if the bloc criticized Turkey's military offensive in Syria. Meanwhile, Kurdish forces said they repulsed a fresh Turkish ground attack in northern eastern Syria Thursday, a day after Ankara launched a cross-border assault that has drawn international condemnation. More details in the following report.
Turkey said its forces seized targets on the second day of an offensive against Kurdish areas in Syria after a withdrawal by U.S. forces opened up a dangerous new phase, the region's 8-year-old conflict. Turkey has said it intends to create a safe zone for the return of millions of refugees to Syria. But world powers fear Turkey's action could deepen the conflict and runs the risk of Daesh terrorists escaping from prisons amid the chaos. The Kurdish-led authority in northern Syria said a prison struck by Turkish shelling holds the most dangerous criminals from more than 60 nationalities, and Turkey's attacks on its prisons risked a catastrophe. The Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, the SDF, holds thousands of Daesh terrorists and tens of thousands of their relatives in detention. Turkey said its offensive was making gains. Sources said that Turkish forces shelled targets near Ran al-Ain on Thursday morning and SDF fighters responded. They said that the Turkish military has hit 181 Kurdish targets with its air force and artillery since the start of operation into northeast Syria. Troops entered Syria at 4 points, 2 of them close to Tel Abyad and 2 close to Ras Al Ain further east. SDF said that the airstrikes killed at least 5 civilians and 3 SDF fighters, while dozens of civilians were wounded. Thousands of people fled Ras Al Ain towards Hasaka province, held by SDF. World governments reacted with concern Wednesday after Turkey launched a military offensive on Kurdish forces in northern Syria, while the UN Security Council plans to hold an emergency meeting to discuss the assault U.S. President Donald Trump called the Turkish assault on Syria a bad idea and said he did not endorse it. He said he expected Turkey to protect civilians and religious minorities and prevent a humanitarian crisis. The United Nations Security Council will meet on Thursday to discuss Syria at the request of the 5 European members: Britain, France, Germany, Belgium and Poland. NATO chief James Stoltenberg urged Turkey to show restraint in its operation against Kurdish forces in Syria, warning that the fight against Daesh terrorist group should not be put at risk. China said that Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity must be respected. EU chief Jean-Claude Juncker demanded a halt to the operation, telling Ankara the bloc would not pay for any so-called safe zone that might be created. The International Committee of the Red Cross said it was deeply concerned that any escalation in the country's northeast could harm an already struggling population, stressing that the humanitarian space needs to be preserved.
Egypt's foreign ministry condemned the offensive as an unacceptable attack on the sovereignty of a brotherly Arab state. It called for an emergency meeting of the Arab League states. For more on the Turkish assault, we are joined over the phone by Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former assistant to foreign minister. A very good day, sir.
Hello.
Sir, what are the expected repercussions of the Turkish assault?
This is a severe aggression, very blunt, and against not only Syria, but the whole Arab world. That's why the Arab League is having very important meeting immediately. It's condemned by the European Union and by all the international community. The Security Council will discuss the matter also. There is any reason which explain why Turkey is doing this, except that Turkey wants to expand on its border in Syria, and this is not the first time. We have a piece of the Syrian territory is occupied since long time by the Turkish occupation, the Iskandarona, and we have a very strange leadership in Turkey now, because Egypt declared that we have all good relations with the people of Turkey. It's a member with us in the Islamic Conference. It is an old partner in many of our historical events. But we have a sort of very strange leadership who is dreaming about the Turkish Empire, and he wants to expand his activities everywhere, in Iraq, in Syria, and he's intervening in Libya, in many Arab places. And this has to be stopped, and that's why Egypt on its side and the whole Arab League member states are against it. Now I hope that the Security Council will have a direct resolution to stop this aggression.
Sir, how will the attack affect the stability of the region and complicate the crisis in Syria?
The Syrian question is really a highly complicated situation. And it is a sad story where Syrians are killing themselves. And here it comes the role of Egypt and the Arab League in order to convince all the parties who are fighting each other in Syria to come to negotiation table and to discuss this under the auspices of the Arab League, especially by Egypt, because Egypt is a very well accepted face all over the Arab world, and especially in Syria, since we were one country in the 60s. And now it is more complication to the Syrian problem. I am very sad, really, that whenever we want to solve this problem in Syria, we go to Ankara, we go to Moscow, we go to Tehran, not to Damascus. The Syrians are not in full domination of their future, and this is a very bad thing for the Syrian independence. We hope that we can change this formula for a better situation for the sake of Syria and its people.
Sir, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant to Foreign Minister, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for letting us know more about the crisis, sir. And we move on with the news bulletin.
Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli headed on Thursday the Cabinet weekly meeting to discuss a number of economic and social files. After the meeting, the Prime Minister announces the launch of the first electronic gate to make reservations for land in industrial zones. The electronic gate is the first of its kind in Egypt.